Welcome to the Mix and Match podcast, the place where we bring together the art inspired by the music and the music inspired by the art. We'll introduce you to creators of all kinds who draw inspiration from music. In some cases, there will be writers, and in others, painters, potters, glassblowers, doctors, nurses, mechanics, and maybe even a cobbler or two. In short, there'll be members of our tribe, artisans, creators, and people from all walks of life who connect with music. We asked each guest to create a playlist around any theme they want, which we link to in the show notes. During our conversation, we'll go through each song. Because where there is music, there is inspiration. Welcome to Mix and Match. Thank you for joining us.
When I'm tired and thinking cold, I hide in my music, forget the day, and dream of a girl I used to know. I close my eyes and she slipped
away. I have to wonder, somebody's dangling or has the keys to the playhouse, and you're still like, no, I'm not compromising. I'm old enough now that I would not compromise. He says, knocking some form of wood. Anyway, let me introduce you, Rob Nesbitt. Welcome to the Mix and Match podcast.
I'm happy to be here. Talk about music.
Yes, and we'll talk about you. Why don't you take a moment and introduce yourself and what you do?
Well, yeah, my name is Rob Nesbitt. I live in Victoria, British Columbia, Canada, which is a small city on an island off the coast, the west coast of Canada, near Vancouver. I grew up loving music. I wanted to be music more than anything else in the whole world, and I'm lucky enough to, at the age of 16, landed in Victoria. And this is a scene that, if you don't know about it, it is in my opinion, one of the most important music scenes in the history of alternative music, especially in the era I was a part of. We managed to kind of churn out a lot of really influential bands because we're a city that, like I said, we're on an island, so we're separated from everything. And it was a city that was very British at one time, too. So especially in the 80s, there was a real sort of small European vibe to everything. So we were separate enough. Lots of bands came here, so we got all the stuff. But it was always almost like it was coming through a filter. You know, we were this weird place that was very insular and incestuous. We shared members between bands and stuff. And it had this European influence. So all the bands that came out of here they played sometimes at a high level, or there was a high creativity level, but there was always a little like off-centerness to all the music. And that ultimately was to our benefit. It meant that a lot of bands didn't get super famous or whatever, or make it commercially, but the bands here often had a very specific voice. And it reminded me, like when I'd listen to Italian hardcore as opposed to American hardcore. I preferred American hardcore. It was more pro. I don't know, like it had a thing to it that made it feel more real. But the Italian stuff was just brutal, and it had an edge to it that was really, it felt super nervous, and I like that. And so like Victoria was kind of like that. So I grew up here. I started playing the music in this scene, and I always loved pop music, but I also really loved the raw power of punk and hardcore specifically, and then a little later on metal too. Anything super extreme. I loved really soft music and I loved really hard music, and that still happens today. I love everything in between too, but I'm really interested in exploring the kind of extreme edges of things. So
when you talk about the Italian hardcore versus the American hardcore, do you think it resonated more because of the language barrier? Or were they singing in English? I just took it for granted they were singing in Italian.
That's a great question. I mean, I didn't listen to a ton of these bands, but you know, the most important one to me would be Raw Power, and they sang in English.
Okay.
But it was funny because it was ESL, so very simple, and you know, like my boss, like singing while they hate their boss. But it's just so intense and just passionate, like absolute. Like I don't know if have you ever been to Spain before?
I have not.
Italy's similar, you know, these are Latin countries, you know, that's where their hearts are. And they're very passionate, and they're very on their sleeve, hearts on their sleeve. They speak their minds directly to you, without any reservation. And I really, really like that, because that's kind of the way I want to live too. And that doesn't always fly here.
No.
A more reserved Canada, and I guess the United States to a degree. But so yeah, in this music, it's just, you could just see that if they were singing, they would be flopping around on the floor like fish, yelling, you know, just because they're just so passionate about what they're talking about.
What was your entry into playing music? Did you start on the bass? Did you go right to guitar? Did you start on the drums?
I started on guitar. My mom played guitar, so we had acoustic guitars around the house. I have no talent. I have no innate ability.
That is not true.
Well, maybe let me explain. Like, I think that people who are truly talented, they have it in them, and it comes out very naturally. And I had to work. I've been playing guitar for, I guess, 40 something years at this point.
Wow.
And I'm fine. I can sit in a session and stuff like that. For how long I've been playing, I should be really good. And I'm not. Like, I'm just very competent. And everything's like that. My singing's like that and stuff. So yeah, I picked up my mom's guitar, but I had no real facility for it. I wasn't good. I remember, you know, playing Smoke on the Water and All the Day and All the Night by the Kinks, all just one finger stuff. And I did that for about 2 years, and then started to learn power chords, 2-finger chords and stuff, and had my first band there where a guy played bar stools actually instead of drums, and we all went into one amp and stuff. It was awesome. And then when I moved here, I had the gumption to just walk up to people who I'd heard when I first moved to the school over here in Victoria. I was like, well, somebody said, "Oh, he's a drummer." I would just walk up to him. We should practice or jam sometime. And you know, there was sort of some subtle rejection at first, because that's ballsy for the new kid in school to just come up and say that, like, who do you think you are? But I ended up playing with these people, and it kind of pushed me along. I never actually thought I would be a part of this music scene, because I was so enamored of it, the people playing in the city and stuff. And so I eventually started working at a record store here and joined up with some people I worked with, and they were just friends from the record store. I didn't really know their pedigree, and we ended up making music and then forming a real band from members of that play around, have fun band, and actually doing something. That band was called Bum, and we were a pop punk band back before that was almost even a phrase. We started in the late 80s. Our first show was 1988. And we had some success with that band, released an album that a lot of people consider to be an important record called Wanna Smash Sensation. That was in 1993. I left the band in 1994 for integrity reasons, personal stuff. I just felt like I was not living up to what I should be doing with that group. It needed to be 100% real all the time, or I didn't want to be a part of it. And I felt I was kind of faking it a little bit. Did some stuff after that, played some hardcore bands, trying to get back to my roots and get back to loving music again. Because being in the music business can kind of kill your love of music.
How so?
You know, I don't know what you thought about rock and roll when you were growing up, but to me it was a thing about expression, and it was about a lack of responsibility and just doing what you want to do, and, you know, fuck the rules and fuck timetables, and, like, you know, it was just fuck it. That's what it was for me.
Me too.
Yeah, and when you start getting into the business of rock music, which not that we were deep into it, but we had to answer to some people, and it became about waiting around and who were you going to do favors for? Because if you don't do that for them, they're not going to do this for you, and then you won't be able to go to this place or put this record out. And I found that stuff, it murdered my soul. Like it was awful. And again, I'm nothing against anybody who was a part of that or who was trying to have our best interests at heart. But it was a real wake-up call for me, and it was a kind of a real reality slap in the face. At the same time, this is the mid-90s. I hated the music that was happening at that period. I didn't like Pearl Jam. I didn't like any of that. So I liked Nirvana, I liked Nevermind, and I liked Bleach, but I didn't like the next one.
No.
But just all that music, I felt it was awful, and it didn't speak to me. And I just basically fell into a hole for a couple of years. And then, like I said, I started playing hardcore, and I was in a Misfits tribute band for a couple of years, just trying to get back to what I loved about music. And then I started working on the thing that became the music you know me from, which was the Sweet 16, my solo project, and working on the album that became Mine Would Be the Sun. And all through that time, I was trying to become better, trying to learn how to do music so I could make it on my own and not have to rely on other people. And that's happily where I've ended up, for better and for worse.
Mostly for better.
Yeah, I guess, maybe.
When you were a touring band, did you tour around the world?
Not around the world so much. It's interesting, we had lots of opportunities to do a lot of things, and I will say that at least some of our lack of adventure and success is down to me. I'm like a very particular person. I'm a homebody, and I didn't like traveling around. I didn't like being out on the road. And I like some things about it, but I don't drink. I don't do drugs or anything. So when I was sitting in a bar for 6 hours a day, I was just like, this is not for me. Like it was unpleasant. And I loved music, and I liked meeting people and stuff, but I like sleeping too. And, there wasn't a lot of that going on. And so it was not for me really. And that my particular personality was a real wrench in the works of that band. And I own that, and I recognize it, and I apologize to my band members for it. But so we did travel, though. We went down the coast. One time we played Seattle hundreds of times during the peak of the Seattle scene. And and I am very grateful for that, because we were sort of a part of that scene.
Oh, wow.
Sort of adopted by them. And we were kind of the only band next to the Fastbacks that was kind of like what we did down there. And then there was a band called Sicko that came out a little later on too. And then we went across Canada once, and then we went to Spain 3 times total, twice with me, once after I left the band they went, because we were quite popular in Spain. But we never went anywhere else. We got sort of like offers to play in Germany and Japan a few years ago, and that was my fault that we didn't do that either. So yeah, and we had records released all over the world, in Australia and England and I said Japan and Spain, of course. So it was incredibly successful thing. Just I'm a problem. I got a problem.
That must be kind of interesting to realize your dream, and then to be like, well, this isn't quite what I wanted.
Well, you know what? Yeah, it is. But what I realized is my dream wasn't what I thought it was.
Oh.
My dream is to play music with people. I did that. I can still do it, and it's still fantastic. I love practicing. I love practicing more than playing live. And not practicing by myself, I'm not real fond of that, but playing with other people, I love it. And I like being on stage where I can express bodily the sound I'm hearing and trying to make. But I can do that at a community hall in front of 15 people. Like, I don't need to be on a big stage to be doing that. The feeling I get is the same whether I'm in front of 1,000 people or 20 people. What I'm doing is the same, and my feeling I have about it is the same. So, yeah, I did realize my dream, but my dream more than anything else, ultimately, because I did those two things, played music with people, played in front of people, was to make an album that I loved and try my hardest to do a thing and make it sound like something, and I did that. And that's my greatest achievement
so far.
Yeah, I don't really know musically if there's anything else to do at this point for me personally. I'll keep going, and maybe other things will happen too, but I'm just happy I did what I did.
Yeah. Oh, all right. You said your mom played guitar.
Yes.
Did you grow up in a musical family?
Not really. Tiny bit artistic. My mom also painted, but my father was a complete, he was a military man, and that's all he wanted to do was go to the military and work and come home and then drink. And that's it. You know, it's like I didn't really know him that well. Mom painted and played guitar. Like when they would have parties and the adults would get together and drink, she would play guitar. And so I learned a lot of those songs, not playing them, but I just would listen to them. And I loved listening to them sing all those, you know, Frankie and Johnny were lovers, like all those kind of old timey sing song stuff. Put another log on the fire.
Oh, yeah.
I got a real love from that and from their record collection for old music, for kind of classical, like Henry Belafonte records and Jim Reeves and Jimmy Rogers and Johnny Cash. And those things sort of started me to understand what song structure was and things. So very important to me.
Here's the thing about Johnny Cash. He gets a lot of shout outs and a lot of props, deservedly so. The first song I remember falling in love with was Ring of Fire.
Same here, exactly. On that, the Ring of Fire record was what I listened to. Yeah.
But how often do you return to Johnny Cash? Because I can say for myself, I never listen to him in my spare time.
Absolutely not. No. When I was 5 years old, and that was one of the only things I had at hand, I listened to it quite a bit. But I listened to that song over and over and over and over. Like, was there another hit on that album? I'm not even sure.
I think there was, but...
You know, maybe there was one more. But I was a kid, and I still had the ability to go through each song, and I would find the one that I liked, and it's the hit. And that's what, you know, doing this with you, I was like, I'm going to have to tell them the truth about me, which is I like the hits. That's my thing. Like, I'm a music head, so to speak, but the people I hang out with, they're deep. Like, they know everything. They're into deep cuts. You talk to me, if I'm into Queen, I like the Greatest Hits album. Like that's what I'm into. I've heard the other stuff. It's really good, you know, Brighton Rock and stuff like that. But is anything better than Killer Queen? No, it isn't. Like to me, those pinnacle moments, that a lot of times when bands hit their biggest moment, it's the biggest thing they ever did. For me, like when I look at it and deconstruct it artistically, I'm like, it doesn't get any better than that. And that's what I respond to. I respond in the way that the masses respond to this great music, right? And so I'm into the hits. I always have been, and I'm unashamed at this point, I guess. But I wish I could have as deep an appreciation as some of my friends do for the lesser loved stuff.
Yeah, Lester Bangs famously hated, was it Metal Machine Music by Lou Reed?
Right.
I've never heard it, but that always struck me as like the benchmark of difficult listening.
Yeah.
And people who are like, if they say they like Metal Machine Music, it's like, do you, or you just...
I've got friends who like Metal Machine Music.
Really?
And they do. And now I will tell you this, I go to harsh noise music shows, festivals. I love that stuff. And that's literally the sound of static. Like at ear-splitting volumes. I love it. Like is it music? It's art. Absolutely.
For sure.
But I do love it. And when I don't go home and listen to it, but when I'm there, I'm as involved as anything else I go to see, you know, it's like, so yeah, I understand people liking stuff like that.
The first art song that blew my mind was John Cage. Was it 4 minutes, 13 seconds?
Yeah.
I just blew my mind. And for those uninitiated, it's just 4 minutes and is it 13? I don't forget the second length.
No, I don't know.
It's just pure silence. Yeah. The song is the ambient noise in the room.
Exactly. Yeah. It's incredible. It's beautiful. That's life, man. Amazing stuff.
Yeah. What was the crystallizing moment when you realized that music was more than just something you heard in the background, where you're like, wait a second, there's something more here for me?
So we can start with the first song, because that was it. And it wasn't in any intellectual way, right? I was 5 years old and I was at home alone. Well, my mom was probably somewhere, but I was in the living room by myself, and I went to the stereo console. We had a console hi-fi, which you would open up and there would be a record player inside, basically a liquor cabinet. and I pulled out a record and I looked at the cover and I liked the way the cover looked, and it was the Beatles' Hey Jude record, which is a compilation of singles, late 60s singles generally. Came out in 1971 or something like that, that album. And I didn't know anything about it. I put it on, and the song I put on, I don't even know if it's where it is in the track order, but this is the one I put on, was Rain. And that song, if you guys don't know it, it starts with drums. And when I heard that, it was like it. If I was wearing a diaper, it would have rocked me back in my diaper. But I was a little boy, and I was just like, "What is this?" And that song it's sonically massive, especially in a stereo situation where you're in front of it, not listening to it like this. I listened to it like this earlier today, so I could just kind of get there. And it's very separated. Like on this side, it's like a sound of like, I don't know, somebody hitting a tin cup or something like that for a good portion of the song. But over here, it's like huge ringing G chords with like a D in it and an F sometimes. It's just like, it's very expansive, and it changed me. Like I just was like, I wanted that. I didn't even know what it was, but I looked at the pictures of the band members, and I liked the sound of the drums, so I wanted to play the drums, but I wanted to look like Paul McCartney. And I wanted my life to feel like that song, like that. That was it. That was what it was to be alive, was that sound. And there's no more singular, important, artistic, me encountering art moment in my whole life than that. And yeah, I still can't get over that tune.
I learned more and more about the Beatles and their significance. I mean, of course, as a music nerd, for lack of a better word, you understand their significance and their influence. But boy, oh boy, regardless of the generation, everyone has something to say about the Beatles, and it's always how they influenced them. It's incredible. It's incredible.
So are you not a fan then?
I'm Beatle agnostic, I suppose. I like Revolver.
So you know that whole record?
Not in and out, but yeah, I know it. It's the one I would listen to today. It's the one I would listen to by choice.
It's a pinnacle moment.
Yeah,
for sure.
For sure. Sgt. Pepper's is good.
Yep.
I mean, I recognize it intellectually for its significance. Yes. But as a fan, it's like, okay, it's good. I like it, but I'm still going to go back to Revolver. That speaks to me more.
I always say to people who have either downright dislike of the Beatles, or they dismiss the Beatles, or they're like you, just kind of like, oh, I think they're okay, but they just never hit me the right way or whatever. I always say, if you would give me 12 hours, I can change your life, because I know so much about them, and I'm nowhere near the greatest Beatles scholar ever, but I know a lot about them. And if I could just sit with you and like play songs and talk to you about what's happening at that moment within the band, sonically, as you're hearing it, why it's happening. It's just, they are the Rosetta Stone. They are the Bible. They are the crust of the earth of music. And it's impossible to overstate their importance. It's impossible.
I agree. I completely agree with that statement. And I'm constantly blown away. It's like, it's four guys.
Yeah.
Just looking at music differently. It's just okay, well, all of this can now do this. And it's just their perception, and it just changed, revolutionized everything.
Pure doing. And of course, that's part of the genius of the band. Part of the genius of the band is everyone around them. Like that's the story too. It's not just those four guys. They are it. They are the lightning rod, the tuning fork, but it's all the people around them who are helping them realize what they're doing, and like a song like Tomorrow Never Knows. Have you seen Mad Men? The TV show Mad Men?
I saw the first season.
Okay, I love that show, and it's about a man who is the Uber man. He is a person who's made himself into the ultimate man specimen of that period that he lives in. But it's about how things are going to change, and he is going to slowly be detached and left behind, because the idea of what it is to be a functioning adult in the world is going to change significantly in the next 10 years. And there's a moment where his second wife, spoiler alert for those of you who haven't seen it, has Revolver sitting out. She's going out. He's coming home from the office. She's going out for drinks with friends or something. And she says, you should listen to this. Put on the last song. And then she leaves. And he puts on Tomorrow Never Knows. And the genius of the show is, the Beatles are hardly ever in anything in culture. And so that song comes on, and it's fucking unbelievable. Over the TV, even, it annihilates my soul. And Don Draper listens to about 26 seconds of it and then takes the needle off, puts the record away, because it's just not for him. Like it's the absolute marker of where he is and how everything is changing, and he just cannot meet that moment. It's not possible. but like when I hear Tomorrow Never Knows, there is, even as a child, there's no reticence. It's just, it's incredible. Like, and tape loops, kids that don't understand how they made that record. That's not samples. That's not synthesizers. That's tape loops. That's human beings moving faders to make a song. No one had ever done that before. And it could never be done again. It's a one-time thing. That's it. It never could be duplicated. I don't think you could program. Maybe AI could do it. I don't know. But, human beings could never make that song again.
The thought process involved to determine that's what needs to be done. That's what fascinates me.
Yeah.
This thought process, like the Beatles, all right, we're going to loop this, or whether it's George Martin, whoever came up with it, could have been some lackey in the,
Yeah, you never know. It was sometimes just the smallest person in the room. Yeah.
Creativity manifests itself in many different ways and comes out in different forms. So
yeah, and problem solving. Hey, it's amazing. It really is, and that's art. It's all art, all of it, and I just love it. And it's art like noise, like harsh noise, but it's art that I like to listen to, and it's easy for me to listen to, and it moves me in a very different, deep way.
Interesting. The next song you have is Shannon by Henry Gross.
Yeah. Now, almost all the songs I'm picking, basically all the songs I'm picking are from before or up until the age of 16. And that's when, I think everybody can agree that that's when music can have the most profound effect on you, because everything's so new all the time. It's such a revelation. You can be hearing something brand new on the radio and it's new to you, or you can be hearing your parents' records and that's new to you as well. And so Henry Gross, Shannon is a ballad written about, I later found out, Dennis Wilson's dog of the Wilson family, the Beach Boys. And it's about a dog dying. I knew it was about a dog dying before I heard it because my sister told me that.
Another day's at end. Mama says she's tired again. No one can even begin to tell her. I hardly know what to say, but maybe it's better that way. If Papa were here, I'm sure he'd tell her. Somehow she's keeping it all inside her. But finally the tears fill our eyes, and I know that somewhere tonight she knows how much we really miss her.
was on a compilation album we had. And so I listened to it, and we had a dog named Sheba at the time, and she was a German Shepherd Collie cross, an incredible, incredible animal. And I was probably 10 years old, and I started listening to that song over and over, and I started like listening to the lyrics and learning them and knowing what it was about. And I just started to weep. I came into contact with the idea of death and loss, and knowing that Sheba was going to die someday. She was going to die 3 years from then, actually.
Yeah.
And I drew a picture with purple magic marker on a piece of paper as I listened to the song over and over again. It was a picture of Sheba, poorly drawn, and as many people as I could draw around her. I wanted to draw the whole world looking at her. God, I'm almost going to cry thinking about it right now. And but just the potency of a song, I'd never had that moment, like something to tell me about life and death, to make a child come face to face with that thing that all of us have to face eventually. It's the most important. In Buddhism, we call it the matter for which we train, is death. And to come to that moment at that age with that song, which is a beautiful song. It's absolutely gorgeous. The harmonies are lovely. It's such a gentle delivery. The things he says are very touching and very sweet. It was, again, a penultimate moment for me.
Wow. It's a beautiful song. I had no idea it was about a dog.
Yeah. Shannon is gone. She's drifting out to sea. Like,
I thought that was a metaphor for a lost love.
I don't even know the true story, but in my mind, she drowned. That's what I was thinking when I was hearing that lyric. And maybe she'll find an island with a shady tree, just like the one in our backyard. Oh my God.
Yeah, that tugs at my heartstrings.
Yeah.
Oof.
Incredible.
Next we have, we'll up the mood for you folks. More Than a Feeling by Boston. Now this seems the most incongruent of the songs.
I looked out this morning and the sun was gone. Turned on some music to start my day, and lost myself in a familiar song. I closed my eyes and I slipped faces fade as the years go by, yet I still recall as I wander on, as clear as the sun in the summer sky. Dreaming I used to know. I closed my eyes and she slipped
when I look at everything else on the playlist, I mean, the next song after this, maybe they did make some big rock records. But that one is just like, it seems in contrast to the Descendants or Black Flag.
Yeah. Okay.
You know, so it's just sort of an interesting, and what I like most about your playlist is, and hearing you describe it rolling on the third song, is I can hear you growing up, and I don't know you really. I only know it's from a couple hours, but I can hear you growing up in these songs.
Mm-hmm.
You know?
Yeah, it's very true.
Yeah.
Yeah. Culture raised me. I've said that before to you, you know, like TV raised me and music raised me. Like,
for sure.
My parents, God bless them. Like, they did their best, but I was like a child left to fend for myself, in essence, you know?
You know, isn't that funny? We say that a lot. I say that a lot about my parents too. They did their best. Yeah. And I believe that. I sincerely believe that, you know. It wasn't very good, but
yeah, didn't help me out much. A friend of mine told me a thing that became a truism for me. It took me a long time to accept it, but when I did accept it, my life changed because I used to be a very judgmental person. And I was complaining about a person who was sitting in front of the store. I used to own a video store. And this person was always sitting in front of the video store, and he was begging for money, and he was a drug addict and a schizophrenic, and it was problematic. Sometimes he and I were very good friends, and we would talk for a long time about life and his life, my life. And then he would go off his meds, and it would be bad. And it was just it was a difficult situation. And I was angry. And I said, you know, he said to me, my friend who was talking to me at the time said, I was complaining to this guy, he said, everybody is doing their best all the time. And I said, how is he doing his best? Look what he's doing. I do this and I try to do this and I don't do drugs and I'm trying to be a good person, blah, blah, blah. You know, judgment stuff. And later, when I came to the understanding of what that means, everybody is doing their best all the time. That's absolutely true. Every single moment, every person is living up right to the maximum that they're capable of at that moment. It doesn't mean that they couldn't be doing better or there isn't better things for them to be doing. This is all they can do. And that's the tender place to sit, you know? When you can acknowledge that, that's good for you too. Like, know that you're always doing your best all the time. And it's okay that it's not the greatest. Maybe I should take some of that advice myself, right? When I talk about my music and stuff like that.
Perhaps, yes.
But it's a real thing for me. And how we got to that, I'm not exactly sure. Oh, our parents. My mom even said, I did my best. I tried my best. Mm-hmm. And boy, I used to fucking grill her for that. Not fair. Anyway,
More Than a Feeling. How did we get here?
So Sisters record, 7-inch, 45, More Than a Feeling by Boston. So the edit, sadly, but it's a good single edit because what does it make it, like 2 minutes and 20 seconds long or something? I don't even know. But okay, so again, hearing it, music. I was a lyrics guy, still am. Lyrics hit me very, very hard. And I woke up this morning and the sun was gone. I turned on some music to start my day. I dream of a girl that I used to know. I closed my eyes and she slipped away. I had girlfriends at the age of 10, but a love, no. But I knew what that was when that guy sang that lyric. I felt it in the core of me. And I don't know why. I don't know what was happening inside of me or why I was responding the way I was, but I did. And so that song spoke to me on an emotional level. Certainly, I liked the way it sounded. But as my life would go on, and I would listen to it again and again and again, and I started to gain knowledge about music and how music was made, how music was constructed, how music was performed. That song, that recording of that song, takes on deeper significance all the time because it is, in my estimation, the pinnacle moment of pop music, production-wise. There is nothing any better than More Than a Feeling. And I'll explain to you why. Like, when you make a record, it's all these different tracks. There's so many tracks for the drums. Then you got a guitar track and a guitar track and a bass track and then a vocal track and maybe a harmony track and then a solo track for your guitar. Like, it's all these things, right? And they're all in different frequencies and they have to sit in the mix and you got to make room. The guitar solo frequency is very different than the bass frequency, but maybe there's a little bit of overlap. So you got to remove that from the bass so that the solo guitar sits more snugly alongside of it. It's a very complicated scientific thing ultimately. Not that I use science, I just use feeling all the time. But there are people out there who understand the science of frequency and how to maneuver it. And Tom Schultz from Boston is one of those people. He understands music. So when you listen to More Than a Feeling, the next time you listen to it, listen to every exciting thing that happens in the song. Say it's, I closed my eyes and she slipped away. So the vocal goes up, it crescendos, and then a guitar comes. The vocal starts going, hey, the volume's dropping, the guitar goes, da, 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 da. It's always this. It's waves, hills and valleys. There is never a moment where something exciting isn't happening. The moment that something that takes your ear starts to drop away, something else is there to take your attention. It's perfect. There's no slack moment in that entire song, and it's non-stop. Sometimes there's 4 important things happening at once in it, and they're small things. There's a moment right before the last chorus where the guitar, there's a pick slide, and that's where you take your pick and drag it down the guitar. It makes like a screeching sort of, like, I think of it as like a prelude to a bomb. When I use it in my music, it's the bomb sailing through the air and it's going to land. Something is going to happen in a second in the song. A harmony is going to come in and meet the lead vocal. Something is going to happen emotionally, and that pick slide is and Boston, that song More Than a Feeling is non-stop bomb explosions. It's just, wow. It's astonishing.
That's an incredible description of this song that I've loved for 45, 48 years. Oy.
Awesome.
Yeah.
I could go on about it for hours. It's so perfect.
And next up is The End by The Doors.
This is the end, beautiful friend. This is the end, my only friend, the end of our elaborate plans, the end of everything that stands, the end, no safety or surprise, the end, I'll never look into your eyes again. Can you picture what will be so limitless and free, desperately in need of some stranger's hand in a desperate land? Lost in a romance, wilderness of pain, and all the children are insane. All the children are insane. Waiting for the summer rain, yeah. There's danger on the edge of town. Ride the King's Highway, baby. Weird scenes inside the gold mine. Ride the highway west, baby. Ride the snake, ride the snake to the lake, the ancient lake, baby. The snake is long, 7 miles. Ride the snake. He's old and his skin is cold. The West is the best. The West is the best. Get here and we'll do the rest. The blue bus is calling us. The blue bus is calling us. taking us. The killer awoke before dawn. He put his boots on. He took a face from the ancient gallery and he walked on down the hall. He went into the room where his sister lived, and then he paid a visit to his brother, and then he walked on down the hall, and he came to a door, and he looked inside. Father, yes son, I want to kill you. Mother, I want to. Come on, baby, take a chance with us. Come on, baby, take a chance with us. Come on, baby, take a chance with us and meet me at the back of the blue bus. Do not blue rock on it. Blue bus, do not. Come on, yeah. This is the end, beautiful friend. This is the end, my only friend. The end. It hurts to set you free, but you'll never follow me. The end of laughter and soft light, the end of nights we try to die. This is the end.
Why this one?
Okay, so as I said, I kind of was left to raise myself. And when we lived in Tacoma, Washington, we had pay-per-view TV service. So like I saw all sorts of crazy movies because my parents would leave me alone. I was in the basement. I'd just be putting on all these wild films. And one of them was Apocalypse Now. I was probably 11 years old when I saw it for the first time. And it's still my favorite movie ever. And it's not simply because, oh boy, that was sure a good movie when I was 11. It's an incredible film. It's perfect.
It is.
It's a monumental achievement. And so I loved it so much that I also got a what I called a portable stereo at that time, which was, a tape player that had a radio built in and everything. So I could tape off the radio, which was really important to me, trying to tape the songs that I liked and stuff. And I also could tape myself. So I was doing radio shows and stuff for myself. And I loved Apocalypse Now so much that I took the longest tape I had, which was a 90-minute tape, and I put the thing up to the speaker of the TV and I taped the movie. So I would just listen to the dialogue over and over and over again. And the music made an impact too. It uses music in a very powerful way. There's a great moment where somebody's water skiing behind the boat up the river and Satisfaction by the Stones is on. It's a crystalline 60s moment, and the more I listened to it, the more this song at the beginning of the film, The End by the Doors, I didn't know what it was when I first heard it. All I knew is it was the movie made me feel, made me confront darkness, made me immerse myself in darkness. It was scary. It was powerful. I didn't understand why these images were affecting my mind in the way they were, and the sounds of the film too. And this song really seemed to fit in with the way the movie made me feel. And so I started to rewind it more and more to that part of the movie. It's at the very beginning of the film when Martin Sheen is kind of coming to in a drunken stupor in a hotel room in between missions. And they've mixed the song really interestingly. It kind of has a lot of reverb at times and kind of fades in and out as he's speaking dialogue. But there's a moment in the song where the toms come in. And it's pretty gentle at the beginning of that song. It's just guitar playing this sort of like Middle Eastern feeling figure over and over again. It's like the drums are playing kind of a Latin percussive feel. It's pretty low key. And then the song goes into its first break at about 3 minutes. And the toms come in and they're fucking huge. And I would listen to that over and over. And that was the first time I started to listen to and understand production and the power of volume, and the toms are dark, and that sort of shaped the way I wanted to hear drums from there on in. And so that being into that song got me into the Doors. I found out what that song was. Somebody told me what it was, and I went out and bought a greatest hits, of course, and that took me down a pretty long road. I got really into that band, and the transgressive nature of Jim Morrison as a character really appealed to me and made me redefine who I wanted to be as a performer. I was all Beatles up to that point, a little bit of Cheap Trick, even though I'd never really seen them, so I didn't really know what that was. But I was into that band at that time, and when I started learning about Jim Morrison, I was like, that's what I want. I want to scare people. I want to put my life on the line for this. Like, I want to walk on the edge. I didn't want to take drugs necessarily because I wasn't really about that even as that little kid. But just that idea of putting your body on the edge of the stage, and it was very influential to me.
I have a mixed relationship with the Doors.
As do most people with any sense.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you. Next up is Duran Duran, Planet Earth.
Yeah, and again, this is all kind of moving chronologically. The Doors got me interested in the darker side of music, the more edgy kind of side of music. And so I was open. I was ready for more of that stuff. Like I lived in Maple Ridge, though, and there wasn't a lot going on there that was counterculture. It's a very small town in British Columbia, and I heard "Hungry Like the Wolf" first. That was the song that was a big hit, and then I rented a videotape of all their videos that were collected up to that point, which was everything from the first two albums, Rio and Duran Duran. Self-titled, which is the first one. And when I saw the Planet Earth video and I saw the way that they looked, I think that was the first video on the tape because it was the first video they made. And I was just really taken with their fashion sense, their hair and their clothes. They were fully new romantic at that point, like wearing like big sashes around their waist, and they're wearing military coats, kind of like the Who did, sort of. So I was into that as well. But their haircuts were super angular and cool, and I was just like, this is interesting. Like, I like this fashion thing. I like that these boys are beautiful and they're kind of feminine in their beauty, but I find the music is kind of a little dark and edgy. It doesn't seem soft to me. It's science fiction-y, which I like too. So like when I started looking at fashion as being an important part of music, because I didn't really up to that point, like I didn't really think about it. Everybody I liked generally were just kind of wearing maybe a decent button-up shirt and some jeans or something like that. Or Jim Morrison had his leather pants, so I liked that. And the Who were kind of cool because they had like kind of that pop art thing going on. But no one was really doing that at the end of the 70s, early 80s. People were looking pretty normal, for the most part. But I saw those guys and I was like, I want more of that in my life. And that led me to being open to, I'd heard some punk and stuff, but I really wanted to find out more about fashion and music and the kind of correlation those two things could have with each other. So that's why that song's important to me. I was a huge Duran Duran fan ultimately as well.
Right.
we have a correction. I have straight edge, but the real song should be
Out of Step.
Out of Step.
No set of rules. I'm not telling you what to do. All I'm saying is I bring up 3 things that are like so important to the whole world. I don't have to find much importance in because of these things, whether they're fucking or whether they're playing golf. Because of that, I feel I gave up. Out of step with the world. I gave up. Out of step with the
Yeah, so as I said, I was ready for punk, and punk was more than ready for me. So when I turned 16, I moved to Victoria, like I said, and that's when things really started to ramp up for me with music and my participation in music as far as getting involved in a music scene, which I didn't even know was a thing until I moved here. Kids making music for kids, absolutely unheard of. And you would go and it would be like dangerous and cool feeling and not like silly. I was just taken in. At this point, I was already I was living a life that was like, I was not into drugs. I'd had this experience with huffing gasoline that almost killed me. Oof. And it rearranged my brain, and it put me into a really significant period of mental illness. But when I moved to Victoria, I was kind of coming out the other side of that. But I had sworn off all intoxicants by that point. I was like, I'm never doing anything like that ever again. If I do, I'm going to obviously go totally insane because I only have a fucking thin wafer of glass instead of a mind in my head. I felt like. And so I swore off all of drugs and alcohol. And I wasn't really into promiscuity either. I was really a one man woman. So I had that kind of like, I was like always kind of good. Like I was never trying to make it with chicks and stuff. That wasn't my thing. I just wanted to get married, you know? And so I was kind of living this very strange life for a 16-year-old boy. And then I heard this song by Minor Threat, and you know, it was laying out the ethos of the band. It's the second thing they released, second long play that they released on the Out of Step EP. So the ethos is, the song says, I don't drink, I don't smoke, I don't fuck. At least I can fucking think. I can't keep up. I'm out of step with the world. So yeah, that's me. That's me. I'm out of step. I feel weird. I don't really feel like I fit in, but I do. And I don't want to do any of these things that everyone else thinks is so important. It's got nothing to do with me anymore. And so that, to have that band singing about the thing and singing about it in a very powerful, very aggressive manner, it spoke to me, and it gave me a place of strength to stand. When I would go to gigs and people would try to offer me a beer, I would say, oh no, I'm straight edge. And they would respect that instantly. It was not, I don't drink. Well, what are you, some kind of fucking pussy? Never. Like, because I had that almost militant ethos behind us. Straight edge was going to move into a different place that was not what I was into later on, which is fighting people because they were drinking or beating up. Had nothing to do with what other people were doing. I had no interest in policing people or telling them what to do. This is my life. I'm trying to do the best I can all the time. And so yeah, but the instant respect that would gain me, and it got to the point where people knew who I was, you know, and some people would offer me a beer, and someone else would step in, no, he's straight edge. Oh, cool. Like it was just it just gave such relief to me. It just removed peer pressure from my life. And I was just grateful for that.
Great. Well said. Well said. And pardon me. Next up are the Descendants with Hope.
Why can't you say you talk to me? You're already thinking about someone else. When it comes home, your bed is on and I'll be gone. But I know my day will come. I know someday I'll be the only one. So now you wait for a spark. You know it'll turn you on. He's gonna make you feel the way you wanna feel. When he starts to lie, when he makes you cry, you know I'll be there. My day will come. I know someday I'll be the only one. Call me selfish, call me what you like. I think it's right to want someone for all your own and not to share her love. 'Cause I'll have my way, you won't have a say anyway. 'Cause I got you. You don't stand a chance. Stay wait for his cock. You know it'll turn you on. He's gonna make you feel the way you wanna feel. When he starts to lie, when it makes you cry, you know I'll be there. My day will come. I know someday I'll be the only one. My day will come. I know someday I'll be the only one. So now you want perfection. I see your self-destruction. You don't know what you want. It's gonna take you years to find out. I'm not giving up. And when you've had enough, you'll take your bruised little hand and you'll come running back to me. You know that I'm gonna be the only one.
So yeah, I'd been listening to that stuff, and I actually discovered the Descendants a little bit after this. But once I was working at the record store, one of my friends who worked there with me, Jamie, who's given me a lot of great music in my life, he gave me a Descendants album to listen to, and that was it. Like it was the music I was waiting for, in essence, because it was easy. It was punk, right? It's not hard to play. It's not like Led Zeppelin, which I worship but knew I could never do. I could understand what they were doing. It was guitar, bass, drums, vocals. And they were fairly straightforward chord progressions that I could kind of hear even at that point without any education at all. And he was singing about stuff that it would appeal. Well, they all were, because they all wrote, but they were appealing to the things that were important to me. Love. It was juvenile love. I'm going to admit it right now. It's a very male-centric, juvenile vision of what it is to be in love, very adolescent. But it appealed to me because I was a kid still, in essence. I didn't grow up until I was like 45 years old, And so they were also teetotalers. Like they were talking about, they had a song called Good Clean Fun. All I want is good, clean fun. You can shoot up, you can self-destruct, just, stay out of my life kind of thing. But when I heard Hope, it's a song written by Milo, and it was just I felt the words were very moving and very impactful. And he was writing from a place of hurt, but it was with defiance. He still was a loser in that song. But he's just singing with such anger and such righteousness, and that appealed to me too. That feeling of like, well, I'm the hero, you're the fucking villain, because you hurt me. That appealed to me, and that song does that very, very well. While still managing, you could sit there and look at these lyrics, and I've written a fair share myself, they're problematic from a specific point of view. If you want to look at things from a feminist point of view, this kind of blaming of the female for all our woes, it's not very advanced. It's pretty low base, but some of it is very moving and it's powerful. And that's what the Descendants were for me.
I guess I struggle with that. I mean, I don't disagree with the thought that it's problematic, but that's music. That's a lot of music. Are songs written differently today?
I don't know. And I think that some of what I'm saying is based on knowing me pretty well. Like, I know myself. I know my tricks. I know my kind of pitiful weakness. Like, it's distasteful to me. The person I've been, the way the things I've sung. I feel for that person too. I feel a great deal of compassion and love for that person I was, singing from such a place of hurt. But some of that hurt's imagined. I'm singing about how I'm not happy in the world. That's what it is, man. Like, I think we talked about this when I spoke to you before. The love that can never be fulfilled. I'm shouting into the void. Like, and I'm not doing it in a very balanced way. I'm doing it in an artful way, in a very real way, in a very human way, but it's just not particularly, it's not Townes Van Zandt or something. There's people out there who can do this kind of hurt, emotive communication, and they do it with a real depth and subtlety and sophistication that I just don't have, really, And I certainly didn't have it when I was younger, and the Descendants didn't have it either, but they still moved me.
Yeah.
They still moved me.
Speaking of moving, Damaged 2 by Black Flag.
I got Black Flag Damaged in 1984, and it was the first real hardcore record I bought, and it's still, for me, there's stuff that's way more brutal that I listen to, but it still really stands for me as a very powerful record. And Damage 2, it has the stuff that I like about hardcore. I like some of the kind of posy brocore aspects of what came later in the late 80s, like Gorilla Biscuits and stuff like that. Mm-hmm. But where I really sit is in this space of harm, in this space of aggression. And it's an aggression born of not fitting in, a feeling that you're at odds with life itself because you just don't fit. And your mind, I don't know if you've read the lyrics for that song, but it has just I really like straightforward things. I like the people to say what they mean. And I find that's very impactful. I don't have to think about it. It just, boom, it hits me, And so there's, in this song, which is full of just the most fantastic sort of stumbling performance by Henry Rollins, he says, stupid feelings, stupid emotions, stupid intelligence, like those, he keeps saying those things. And when I look at you, my mind falls apart. Like, it's just such a simple thing, but in the background is just, it's chaos. It's just shrieking feedback and Craig Ginn soloing in this way that doesn't have any melodic sense at all. Pounding, God, 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 God. Like, I find it extremely impactful. And there's one moment where it's just been getting more and more chaotic. Everything stops, but the feedback, of course, because they're playing at such a volume that it can't be controlled. And Rollins just screams, "Scars!" for no reason. It's just like, yeah, that's it. That is the way I feel.
Damaged by you, damaged by me. I'm confused, don't wanna be confused. Stupid attempts, no conclusion. I'm confused, don't wanna be confused. belong for your mind security. Problems, my problems, no longer feel a thing. Don't even wanna see. You can't make me long for your mind security. Problems stick my life. Feelings, everything I know.
I got interviewed once by someone from a university a few years ago, and this was a kid who was a millennial, right? So he didn't understand a lot of the stuff I talk about, this idea of harming myself in the name of art, of the idea that I loved slam dancing when I was a kid. I loved getting hurt. It's like, it's important to me. Like it's a part of being alive. And I was trying to describe what this was to him. And I said, it came to me. I said, aggression is just another facet of passion. That's what it is. It's not a separate thing. It is a component of that feeling. And I had passion to spare. I had gallons of it, buckets, and I had just as much aggression, even though I was a sweetie pie.
Are you a tattoo guy at all?
Not at all. I almost got Black Flag bars back in the early 90s, but I didn't. And I really, my body is like, I love it. It's almost a separate thing for me, and I love it. And I talk to it all the time about how great a job I say it's doing, even when it's failing me. I'm just like, you're so awesome. Just keep going.
It's doing the best it can.
It is all the time. And so there came a point where I was like, I don't want to do anything to it that it doesn't need. Like, it's perfect. It doesn't need anything else.
That's where I get my pain. I do like the pain from everyone's like, does it hurt? It doesn't not hurt, but it's not root canal hurt. You know, it's just different. There's something liberating.
Cathartic, perhaps?
Yes. Yeah. Absolutely. For sure.
Yeah.
Did I get the order wrong? Because next up I have There She Goes by the...
No, you didn't. I put that at the end for a specific reason. So, like, everyone knows this song pretty much, right? It's been remade by Sixpence None the Richer. It's a very famous song.
I have to tell you, for the longest time, I thought this was the Velvet Underground.
Oh, wow. That's really interesting.
Yeah,
don't they have a song called There She Goes? I don't know the Velvet Underground that well.
I don't either. I don't know. I think they do, and I think maybe I was just commingling for whatever reason.
Yeah, for sure. I don't think they ever made anything quite as liltingly beautiful as this song, but
no.
But specifically, so I say that, it's a famous song. It came out on the first and only full-length Laws record in 1990. But the song I heard was, I think I said 89, but it was 88 actually that the single came out. I don't think I heard it until early 89. My friend who bought everything that the New Musical Express ever spoke of had it, and I listened to it at his house. And I just, again, it was one of those things that I heard a guy doing what I wanted to do. And he's singing in a way that I felt that it was my heart in sound. And I learned later that Lee Mavers, and I think in this song, you could say he uses major sevenths, which is a specific kind of note choice that it augments a chord. And for me, it's the most emotional sound that there is. And I use it a fair amount in my music. And he often uses it as a background thing, like a voice will come in and sing a note, but then will move into the major seventh position, which changes what he's doing. And it just affects my heart. And that version, it's perfect. They never captured it later like they did in that early version. And it's just the vocals sound different. His performance is a little more plaintive. The later version sounds like they work too hard. And he's famous because he always said he quit music because the music he tried to make never sounded like the demos he made, which he made on like like a portable stereo, like I talked about with him and his friend. And that was the thing that sparked his mind and his heart, and it never could get to that place ever again. And I feel for him, he got lost. And, but that early single version of There She Goes is as perfect as pop gets. And it still inspires me to this day. I'm trying to make that sound that they made. I'm trying to make something that makes the same feeling as that. So that's why I put it there at the end, because it's still going today.
And the last song.
Wasn't that the last song?
No, I have Mega City 4.
Oh, yeah. Well, so that's an important song for me because it's a moment that I can point to, and I can't really remember another moment like this. Like Shannon was the moment I came face to face with death for the first time. And Rose Colored by Mega City 4 was a moment where I had built almost a scaffolding of pain in my life because of my disappointment about a failed relationship, the one that I sing about on my album, Mine Would Be the Sun. And I was living inside that scaffolding. And it was painful and it was not helpful to me, but I was almost like clinging to it like it was a life preserver. And I could see no way out. I didn't know how to move forward with my life and be a happy person. I didn't know what to do. I saw that everything I did was about who I was when I was back then. It wasn't even that long ago, but it was back then all the time. All this when I was with my friends there, it was so great. And when I was with that girl at that time, it was just so perfect. And I'll never have that ever again. And it was unhelpful and painful, as I said. So I was stuck, and there was nothing that people could say to me that would change anything for me. I was just where I was. And I listened to this song, and one day, I'd been listening to this album for months. And then one day I heard the lyrics, and I'd like to read them to you if I could. Can I read something while I'm in this situation? Yeah. How do I do that? I can bring it up here. Okay, so I'm going to read you the lyrics for this song. So this was written by a guy named Wiz. He's an English singer-songwriter, and super plain speaking, again, like I talked about before. He's very straightforward, but I find his lyrics to be not dumb at all. They're very, very perceptive. So the lyrics of the song go. And the thing about music is lyrics on their own can never be as powerful as they are when they're set with music. It's just not. This isn't poetry. This is something else, right?
Right.
The music makes them poetry. So this says, things were much easier then on first reflection. Life seemed much simpler without all today's complications. And I often wonder why the past seems so attractive. Are we really so dissatisfied? Take a long, hard look at the way things used to be, because time has dulled your pain and your memory. Take a look at the things you have chosen to forget, and then measure all the happiness against which you regret. Then he says, goals that we failed to achieve in the past are constant reminders of how much we wasted the chance. And we bury all our guilt in childish reminiscing, conveniently missing out the pieces that remind us that the past wasn't any better. And we must continue making reparations for our failures or making the same mistakes again. Fucking changed everything for me. Like,
Wow.
to hear someone plainly say that, like telling me, take a long, hard look. Like he's telling me to do that. And so I did. Like I sat there and I thought about my life and the things I thought were so important, which were so important. But what are they really? Measure what happened then and what hurt and what was the happiness you felt then? And was the pain you felt at that time and the dissatisfaction and the failures, were they any different than the ones you're having right at this minute? Because they're not. And you're just living your life. It's a continuum. It's not then and now. It is. It just changed me. It made me happier. Like I was instantly a happier person because of this song. And it made me begin to heal. It was the beginning of my healing as far as I'm concerned. And, my healing was almost completed with Mine Would Be the Sun. I'm a functioning, happy adult human being now because of music. And
oh yeah,
that song is a real big part of it,
Wow. Have you ever considered being a college professor?
I said this to you the last time we spoke to. I'm a smart, dumb guy, so I don't feel like I have a right to stand in front of anybody and talk on that sort of level,
I don't know, man. When I talk to you, man, I the way you describe and the passion involved in the knowledge of music, all of that comes through, and it shouldn't be discounted. I don't know. I learn when I talk to you.
Oh, that's so kind of you to say. Thank you.
Wow.
I think we all suffer from that stuff about, and some of this is my parents doing, right? Like, if you don't make money from something, it's not real. Like yeah. So I always feel like, could I really make money by being a professor? No, I don't have a degree. I don't deserve to stand in front of people and talk. Like, isn't that silly? That's not realistic, but it's sort of true too. I don't know. It's tough. It's a tough space to exist.
Do you know who Paul Mahern is?
I don't.
He's the guy. Being a punk guy, the Zero Boys.
Yes, of course.
That's Paul's band.
Oh, okay.
And he's now a producer, and he tours with the Zero Boys periodically. But he's a producer and engineer. He's worked with John Mellencamp for years.
Oh, good for you to have that connection. That's great.
Yeah. He teaches 2 classes at the University of Indiana. One on the history of punk rock, and one on production. Wow. So, and I don't think I'm not sure if he finished college. I don't honestly know, but see, so it's possible.
Yeah, anything is possible. And God bless that man for having the guts and wherewithal to make that happen. Sounds like he spent his whole life making the things he needed to happen. And that's great.
Yes. I love talking with you, Rob. This is just a blast.
Thank you so much, man. I really appreciate you asking me on here and giving me a chance to talk. It's funny, COVID turned me into a hermit, and I long for connecting with people, and so this has been really nice for me. Thank you. It's a great gift. Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
That's awesome.
I love it, man. I'm going to end record now.
Mix and Match was written and produced by Keith R. Higgins. It was recorded at Thunder Love Studio, where it was engineered by Tony Jackson and mixed by Diane Coughlin. A new episode drops every Monday night. Thanks for listening.